What's up? Welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to show you guys how I arrange my beats personally, the different tricks and techniques that I use to do so. I know a lot of you are probably like,
Holy, where's the face cam at? We miss you.
it's coming back soon, trust, I promise. Shouldn't be too much longer till they're done. Even if they're not done, I'm going to set my camera stuff back up. My room's going to look dusty, but it's fine. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter. I do have a couple more placements on the way. I'll talk about those when they drop. And without further ado, let's get straight into this video. Okay, so first we have the sample. First, here, let's listen to it. Let's listen to it real quick.
Jordan, what the fuck?
All right, so these are really just most of the sounds. I have a few different like baseline things. I like to do that just to add variation. I always try to add at least one variation of the 808 pattern or just a different bass pattern. So this is the second variation that I came up with. Here are the notes. It's something different. I just kind of wanted something unique for like the verse, kind of slow down a little bit. And here's like a little synth bass. Super simple. So I like to add a variation to the bass line and different types of basses, stuff like that, just so you know like there's changes. And yeah, all right, so we're gonna start with the intro. So with the intro, what I usually do is I'll just put the original sample, loop it for 8 bars, sometimes 16, depends on the tempo really. Like if it's at like 180, you can do 16, but if it's at like 90, try to keep it like 8 bars. Even 8 bars is kind of long because it's pushing like the 20-second area and it just gets a little boring. So you want the artist to be intrigued like the whole time, so make sure the sample is either really good in the beginning, like this isn't a bad sample, it's cool, but it's getting a little long. So what I could do is record out the drums and just this main part in general, just record it out. And then what we could do is add like a little filter on the drums and stuff, just so it's like a different element. It's not like the same thing repeating, and it's like a change. You can do this in parametric EQ as well. You just go to bandpass and arrow. If you can't, then just copy the shape. After you shape your EQ like this, you can move it like towards the low end, and then you can go to tools and then go to last tweaked and create automation clip, and it's going to make it to where you created an automation clip for the EQ. So now this is what it's going to sound like. And when you move this, it's going to move this little band around. So you really want to like put the band where you want the focus to be and want it to spread to. So you want it to be probably in the lower end, so that way they don't hear the high frequencies where like the melody is, because that's really what's like gonna reveal everything. You know what I'm saying? So like here, I'll show you. So we'll have it like that. And when they're in the studio, all they hear is bass, and they're like, oh shit, alright, something's already happening. And then 4 bars have already went by, and they're like waiting for something to happen, right? But they're not bored like they would be, you know what I'm saying, around this area. So like now we can turn it off just completely and just make it fade off like that. Or you can make it last the whole time, and it can just kind of revert back like this, and then it can just dip back out. And then they're like, okay, and they know it's coming soon. I'd probably change this part and make it fade in a little slower. So that's one of your options. You can also you could make it a 4-bar intro. There's really no rules to this, but the standard is probably gonna be like 8 bars. Sometimes I'll pitch it down. Let me turn this off. But I feel like if you pitch this sample down, especially in the intro, you're not gonna enjoy it because you won't really get the full experience. It's obviously approaching 19 seconds before it drops. It's at 20 seconds that it drops, but my tag comes in. That's a little variation. You can use a riser. That's another option to make it less boring. You just don't want them to be bored, and you don't want to have a long intro. The goal is to keep the artist entertained. So moving on from the first 8 bars or whatever, the intro basically, now we're at the drop. Now this can be the hook, this could be a verse, this can be whatever. So it's really how you want to plan it out, however you hear the song. But what I like to do for like a rule of thumb usually is drop it and have all the entertaining parts in this area. And then what I like to do is make it chill out over time. And then it's going to chill out. Say maybe we take out a few drum sounds or whatever, blah, 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 blah. Add this less active bass line, blah, blah, blah. And then we just revert back to the sample. And then it builds back up. You know what I'm saying? You just repeat. So you could do something like that. Or you could start it to where it's the less active area, less active stuff going on, like this. And then it kind of turns into something more over here. You know what I'm saying? It's really, you can build it however you really want, but what I would do here is I would start with everything and then let it kind of chill out and marinate. So this is personally how I would lay it out. You basically have probably a hook here because there's a lot of stuff going on, so you just want something simple and catchy vocally. And then you have less going on over here. My fault. You have less going on over here. This is where they could sing or talk more, probably during the verse or whatever. That's typically the rule of thumb that I would follow for the verse. You kind of want less going on. So if your melody's doing a lot, you can put a filter on it and it'll kind of take away the distraction. So if this melody had a lot going on or something, you could just put a filter on it. And then the vocals will really pop here. You know what I'm saying? It's really about leaving room, using filters and taking things out to leave room and all of that. So I'm going to show you guys how I personally am going to lay it out, and I'll explain what I'm doing. So we have everything here. It's probably going to be a hook. And this part is just a flipped portion of the sample. Put a little sidechain on it, some reverb. And then I took out some of the highs and I just chopped it up. Added some volume automations for it to dip out during some parts that I didn't like. And then you have that layered with the main melody. Drums. Alright, so now we have the hook area. Now we're transitioning to the verse right here. No kick, less active 808. No hi-hat two-step pattern. It's just the rolls and a couple other lingering hi-hats. A lot more room for the artist. If you feel like this isn't enough room, add like a filter on the melody or just take out more drum sounds, or you can do both. It's a lot easier to do when the vocals are already on the track. Like if you're making the beat around vocals, it's a lot easier to do because then you can judge based on how the artist did. But since us producers usually don't get that chance, you just kind of got to gauge it. So yeah, that's how I do this section. And then whenever it's time to go to the bridge or just the second part of the verse or whatever, this is what I would do. I made a bass line that's just super simple. Now this works because it's the same loop from earlier, but we added a bass line. So it's something familiar to the brain already. Plus it's been playing the whole time, but it's something familiar to the brain already. But you added another element that hasn't been in the beat yet. So it's something new as well as something that the brain is familiar with. So it's not boring, but it's something that the listener's brain can go along with. So we have this simple, and then I kind of added these second notes over here because I kind of arranged it for me to chop the second half of the drum pattern and put it in here, and it's kind of gonna help transition us. So let's have a full listen from here, and then it'll loop back in here, and since the two-step hi-hat pattern and stuff is already playing, it's gonna kind of loop in perfectly. But what we want to do is take out some of the elements so that way this isn't repetitive. This part where it drops isn't repetitive. So what we're gonna do is go ahead and take out maybe even some hi-hat rolls, or we'll just take out the open hi-hat. We'll take out a few of these hi-hats. Let's just listen, and then we'll take out what we see fit. So I'll probably take this part, that little hissing noise on the clap, probably take that out. And we can copy this part over as well. You can also do cool things like take out the last little section right before the clap. So here's the clap, obviously. Boom. Now it's gonna be like, and you're expecting the clap here, but it's not there. You could even do that. That's cool. And you can leave the sample in there if you want. You can do that same technique in here as well. You can even do it over in this section, but it's really just about experimenting. Now, I've heard that some producers don't like engineers doing it because they don't do it the way that they want them to. Really, like, you know what I'm saying, do it how you want. I would just remember to keep it simple so the artist can still catch a flow and catch a vibe on it. Just remember, you can do it really anywhere. It's just experimenting is going to be what's best. Every beat is going to be different. Now, I would try to leave it around 2 minutes, maybe 2 minutes and 30 seconds. And then what I like to do is record a section or even the whole area where the drums are. Just record that out, and then I'm going to show you guys how I do the little slowed and reverb thing. Slowed and reverbed is highly inspired by DJ Screw's Chopped and Screwed. I remember he used to do that for Lil Wayne's project. It really sounded crazy, I'm not even gonna lie. Incredible. So all you want to do here is stretch it past the original length. Just go count 9 to 24, so it's a 16 bar loop obviously, and then you just want to stretch it past 16. So now we're at 18, and this is what and then go ahead and add the reverb on. I use Valhalla Vintage Verb, and then I go to thin plate, which is under plates, and you go to thin plate, and then I turn down the mix to like about 50%, 60%. It really depends on the beat, but yeah, that's usually what I do. But you want to make sure that you add an automation clip and make it to where it only comes in that part. What I like to do is, as of recently, is kind of add a little ramp right here so it transitions into it. So yeah, that's how I do the slowed and reverb thing. All you have to do is select the portion of the song that you want slowed and reverbed, right click it, drag, and then arm the master, and then Alt plus R, render it out. Make sure you time stretch it past its original length. Mine was 16 bars, so we just went over 16. I like to reverse it sometimes. You can also speed it up. If you want to change the pitch manually, you can do that as well. If you don't have Vintage Verb, all you have to do is go to the reverb, whatever reverb you're using, Fruity Reverb 2, whatever, and go to decay. Make it a short decay, probably like 1.2 seconds to 1.6. You could go even lower if you wanted to, and then mess with the mix. Probably put it at like 50-ish. So yeah, that's about it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Hopefully you guys learned something. If you guys have any questions or anything that I didn't cover, let me know in the comments. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. If you enjoyed the video, hit that like button. Facecam will be back soon. Make sure you go get my new kits. All links will be in the description. And here's this finished beat.